putting us now on, so the meeting is now going to be recorded. To elect the committee, now we don't want a big committee. Gillian has said, because I did put her down as secretary, but she said really she's just a treasurer. So I do most of the secretarial thing now, so I'll put myself down as secretary, if that's okay with everyone.
Yep.
Yep.
I organise the meetings and everything, so that's something I've been doing. Keith, as chairman, has been proposed and seconded. Do we all agree with that?
Yep.
Thumb up if we do.
Yep.
Yeah, we all agree with that. Gillian as treasurer. Do we all agree with that?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, everyone. And myself, I can't put myself up, but I'm down as secretary and website manager. Is that okay with everyone?
Yep.
Yep.
Yes.
If not, I'll turn it off straight away. Right, now the treasurer's report. Gillian, she's a bit shy to come on, so she's given me her treasurer's report, which ended the 31st of August, because she does it for a year. And I was having a look at this and I found out something that she'd missed. I'll start at this end. We've taken in £950.77p. Okay. £122.75p of that was donations, which I won't tell you who donated it, but can you all see that? It's a good book, Down to Bedrock, Eric Cordonley, and the Changi Cross, Louise Cordonley. Louise. And so I'm not saying who donated it, but I was really appreciated for her to do that. And that was quite a large sum she did donate. So thanks to Louise, okay? Right, £54 for the pins. Now, I know I do the pins. I've done them for quite a few years. I do get them from Michael Hurst in Taiwan. First of all, I got them because I tried to start off the FEPOW Day, and that was a good thing to have some pins to put out for FEPOW Day. So that's why I started them, and then later on the FEPOW family, which that one is, which you all have because you all paid yearly. So Gillian sent one out to all of you. Hopefully, did you all receive it?
Yep. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was the pins. Now, when I saw that, I said to Gillian, yeah, well, where have you put the payment for the pins? And she'd forgot to put it in. Now, I paid for the pins. Now, if the pin money is going to go to the group should own the pins. Therefore, you should pay for the pins, which are left. Is that agreed? Yeah.
Yep.
So the stock of the pins now belongs to the FEPOW family. What we had left, we've got 331 FEPOW Day pins and 162 FEPOW family pins. And they are the stock at the moment, which would have cost us £339.84, which she has added now to her treasurer's report. So the money paid out last year, including the pin money, is now £899, leaving a balance of £51.34. Now, it doesn't sound a lot, but next year you won't have to pay for the pins because they are in stock. Is that okay with everyone?
Yep.
I think that's the best way to do it. I want the FEPOW family to do the pins now. Although we'll send them out this end, I want the FEPOW family to own the pins. If we're going to do it properly. Yeah?
Yep.
The only thing that isn't on this treasurer's report is the blue jeans, which are on now, which cost us just under 120 a year. But it's not too bad. It's $9.99 a month, which if we had meetings and we all had to travel, maybe have hotels, that would cost us a lot more than that. So I think this is a good way of doing it. Do we all agree?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Only question I've got, Ron.
Yeah.
When is the billing for that due, and are you going to run out of money before the
No.
next subscription?
Yeah, Gillian is now going through them because most of you paid October. So she is going through them now and sending out reminders.
Okay.
All right, so you should receive a reminder any time, really. She is going through it now. So she's left it till you paid from last year, and it is going in now. Okay, so you should all receive a reminder. If you don't...
Crikey, that year has gone quickly.
That has gone quickly, but that is appreciated because now there's a lot of worry off my plate because you're all helping paying. That was costing me about £50 a month, which is on a pension that wasn't too good. So anyone wants to know anything about this treasurer's report?
Ronnie, what about domain names and things associated with the website?
It's all included in here. Let me find it. Right, she's put it under software for internet. Okay, the software for internet cost us $525.25 for the year. That is all the subscriptions. Now, I have got some subscriptions of my own, which we used to have in the shop, which we're finished now, but I have got an RJT retirement one. So if anyone wants to know from the shop about me, they can still get in. That one has been taken off that figure. So we pay eHosting £38 4p a month, and this is Gillian pays them, and the FEPOW family, out of that £38, you only pay £23 4p of that. The rest I pay for because that's to do with my old business. Is that okay?
Yep. That's all right.
So,
That's good.
So I'll just go through them swiftly. The total out was $899.43. 525.25 was the software for the internet. The pins were £339.84. The postage is $34.34, and the bank balance is $51.34. Okay. To just tidy it up with the incomings, I don't know if that's the right word, but that'll do. 774.02 from the members. £54 for the pins sold. £122.75 donations, which, as I said, I really feel strongly that Louise didn't have to do that because she is a member and she does pay like you, but she sent me quite a nice sum to put in for donations, which I do appreciate. And as I said, her books, both of them, are very good. The Changi Cross and Down to Bedrock I'm promoting them because she did help us a lot. And so the total income to us was 950.77. Is that okay with everyone?
Yep.
Yeah. Right. So that's the Treasurer's report. Have you any of you got anything you want to ask about that? No.
Nope.
You're okay with that.
I think thanks a
Straightforward
lot
enough.
to Gillian for pulling it all together. And I don't know whether we want to, as a group, convey through you, Ron, appreciation for that donation to our anonymous donor.
Yeah. She said she wanted to remain, but I think she's really done a lot. And as you all know, she has been in hospital. I don't know if you all know, but she has been in hospital, and she's a lovely lady. But she seemed to have got over her operation, so hopefully everything is now okay. And I will get Gillian to write her a nice letter saying thank you. Right. So we've got over the Treasurer's report. Discussions on use of the video meetings. The video meetings, as I started them, I'll let you all have your say, is I started them so we could all communicate and feel part of the FEPOW family. It's okay, you all sending in things to me, but it's not getting to everyone. So the video meetings are great for us all to talk and see each other. The faces are important. I didn't know Ray was so pretty. And but there you go. I think they do serve a purpose. Does anyone want to have a say about that?
I'd agree with you. I mean, just from the original early thing that when you kicked off the first one, and I was on it with yourself and Tim, and I forget who else. I mean, out of that conversation, Tim and I followed up on something which opened up some new avenues. So I think just some of the conversations that could happen could stimulate some new research avenues for some of us. Yeah. Aside from talks or anything, but just the interchanges.
Keith, I think you ought to say something. Keith?
No, I'm okay.
I thought you were going to say something. Right. Right. Now, I've had a talk with Tony Banham. Tony, we've known for a long time, haven't we, Keith?
Yep, yes, indeed.
He concentrates on Hong Kong, and I've got 3 of his books, another one on the way, and they are brilliant. I mean, the research he's put into them is really good. Now, I've asked him if he'd like to do a talk, and he said he's busy till the new year, but he'd love to do one in the new year, which brilliant. I think we'd all appreciate it, because his books are so full of information, particularly the Lisbon Maru, which we've all heard of. And I think that would be a brilliant talk. And so Tony has agreed he will do one. Keith, I'm hoping, is going to put himself forward. and Ray. Now, if anyone has got any suggestions who we can approach for a talk, I'm willing to go along with that, listen to it, and see if we can get them involved. One of our members is Jonathan Cooper, the Adams Park Project.
Oh, John Cooper, yeah.
Yeah, John Cooper.
That'll be a good talk.
John, yeah.
That'll be a good talk.
I would have thought we could approach him because he is a member. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping that he would agree. So that would be a good talk. Our monthly meetings, we can just put forward suggestions on what we'd like to discuss, and can talk about them as we go. So you could all write to me and say, could we talk about so and so, and we can talk about it. Have we lost one?
No, it's showing as 9.
No, I can't see. Anyway, right, we'll keep going then. Yeah, so if any of you can suggest anyone, and then we can approach them and see if they will do a talk. The meetings in general, this is a Sunday one, but unfortunately I didn't take in church, so some people want to go to church. So we are having the first Sunday of every month will be the Sunday meeting, and 2 weeks after that we'll have a Saturday meeting. All of them at 10 o'clock, so those in Australia can get in.
Mm-hmm.
It's no good doing an evening one because that'd be 3 o'clock, is it, Martin?
Oh, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, it's 3 o'clock in the morning if we did an evening one, so that's out of the question. So
Yeah.
I think as we've got now 3 Australians, we have got 3, Martin.
Oh, good. That's very good.
We really want to try and keep it so we can allow everyone to get in.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
Ron, I don't know if this is a appropriate time to suggest it or whether it's a totally daft idea. I don't know what Keith thinks of this one. But I mean, a thought which comes to mind, given that we have got some global reach on this thing now, in terms both of other speakers, but also in terms of kind of connecting the wider FEPOW community. I mean, I'm thinking of guys like, senior moment, Thai Burma Railway, Rod Beattie.
Rod Beattie, yeah.
I mean, there was Rod, and he had another crazy Australian with him, didn't he? Up in Liverpool.
That's right.
Equally crazy as Rod. I mean, both of those, you know, have got an awful lot to give. But what I'm also thinking, I'm thinking like sort of people like Rod. I mean, you know, I'm inclined to sort of suggest we could almost offer an honorary membership to, but you know, also. You know, he is going to come across lots of people who come over there who might want to connect and find out more and stay in touch. I'm just wondering whether that's a crazy, daft idea or what, or whether we're trying to run before we walk. Maybe that's one to stick on the back burner.
With the idea at the beginning of this is for the members to keep the websites going.
Yeah.
That was the idea at the beginning.
Yeah.
Since then, I've thought about things to make it so the members get something back.
Yeah.
So what we could do, like we're going to do with Tony, is invite Rod to do a talk, and if we start, I think we're going down the line of COFEPO, aren't we, Keith? If we start thinking about honorary memberships and things like that, we're different to COFEPO. COFEPO are a different organisation to us. I mean, ours is really research and keeping together on research and.
I'd agree with the talks. It might be a very good idea. You might not get Rod. I'll be honest with you.
No, I don't think we would.
Certainly, you could possibly run it past Terry at the TBRC, and Andrew Snow might give us a talk. So you have people like that giving us a talk rather than be honorary members. Meg Parks might be another one. Because she had a tie-up with the School of Tropical Medicine. Mike Hurst, I don't know whether he would do one because he tends to want quite a bit of time, obviously.
The trouble is with Mike, he's not very computer literate.
Right,
and he doesn't honestly know what he's doing. I try and help him this end, but it's like, I'm not being horrible to Mike, but it's like knocking your head against a brick wall. He doesn't really know what he's doing that end.
No, fair enough.
I've really tried, but he to be honest, he'd never cope with it.
No, okay.
He'd never cope with the talk.
Okay.
So I think we can really rule out Mike. He's done a lot for the Taiwan website and everything, and information on Taiwan, which I have used. That's quite good information. The same as I use FEPOW's liberation forums. It's interesting, and you can get a load of information from it.
I think there's a lot to be said for the personal contact. I went up to the Researching FEPOW History Group conference back in Liverpool in, when was it? June, was it?
June, yeah.
June, yeah.
And I kind of wrote up a bit of a report for that and shared that at the local co-FEPOW group. And one of the guys who was there, who'd only just actually recently joined the group, he kind of got back to me afterwards because I mentioned the thing on the Taiwan camps and so on. And his dad had been in a couple of the Taiwan camps, and somehow or other the subject of the concert parties came up, because his dad was a bugler, and he wondered, he didn't know, but he wondered whether his dad might have taken part in any of those because he was a musician. So I pointed him in the direction of Sears Eldridge via Meg Parks. Meg put him in touch. I met him last week. He brought along some printouts of the concert parties his dad had been in. He'd never known, but he'd now got evidence of what his dad had done.
That's
where a lot of the personal contacts and things like that I think come out of it are so valuable.
Well, I've been researching for, as you know, about 17 odd years, and looking for the liberation questionnaires. And I was told by the late Mitchell brothers that my father was in charge of their hut in the last camp they were in. I've never found evidence of that until going through the questionnaires, because I'm going through each of the questionnaire files one by one, looking for a particular project, and found evidence that my father was in charge of the hut. Now, it's taken me 17 years to find that. It's under your nose, but you just don't look.
Sometimes somebody. Can you remember we had a thing about the handkerchiefs?
Oh yes.
And I was looking up to see if I could find any more handkerchiefs.
Yes.
And those handkerchiefs, by the way, I found out they were dropped on liberation, and the FEPOWs drew the camp on them and got the people to sign their name. And I was looking for some more of these handkerchiefs, because there must be a load out there somewhere.
There's one in the FEPOW building in our archives.
Yeah. Well, I came across a picture, and that absolutely, I think I should have had the film running then, because I was running around my office punching the air, because John Coast, I honestly, I thought John Coast's book was fantastic. And I've been looking for information on John Coast, and I happened to come across a concert party with John Coast as producer. And I was just running around, yes! I'd found it. Brilliant. But sometimes, as you say, Keith, you come across something where you don't expect it. You just don't expect it to happen. Does everyone sound okay?
Yep, fine.
Yep.
Getting some feedback.
Yeah, there is some feedback from somewhere.
Yeah, I'm getting some. I've got my other one turned off, so it's not that. Sometimes something crops up and you think, oh, brilliant, and it just all falls into place.
Okay, I'll give you another for instance. Okay, now I belong to the U3A because I'm of a certain age, i.e. retired. And one of the guys who I know, and sadly isn't very well, phoned me up and he said, I'm looking for information. He said, you do the Far East stuff. So I said, yeah. So looking for information on my father. long story short, captured in Java, came over on Java Party 13, up on the first British train of F Force, and that was one. I then, in quick succession, got another 3. So those 4 people, all in the same Java party, all on the same train, all in the same groups, only 2 came back. That's 4. So that's roughly about the casualty percentage for F Force. Which, and I've, that many inquiries for the same group in 8 weeks, unheard of. I've never had that before.
Yeah, I tend to do that, Keith. You get somebody ask about one thing, and you get 2 or 3 come on soon after, all about the same thing, which is strange. But something must come up to jog people's memory, and they decide they want to find out about something. But that does happen to me. I mean, it's quite strange.
Well, one of these guys is still alive. He was in Birmingham. Not in the best of health, but he's still with us.
Right. So we've got to the talks. Everyone's okay with the talks. We'll try. If you can send me an email, Keith, or somebody and give me some answers, Keith. And then we can try and sort out a date for a talk. That doesn't have to be on our meeting days. That can be another date.
Okay.
So we can arrange. If we can try and make it so the Australians can get in.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
That would be handy. We mustn't leave the Australians out.
No.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
They'll beat us at cricket again.
Yeah. Well, actually, we're doing quite well at the moment, although Stokes has broke his hand, didn't he?
Yeah.
She should have thumped him. And they say he's going to get done for that as well.
Yeah, I think
That's
he is.
Just his name. That's just his name. I mean, the other chap offended him and he wouldn't pack it in, so thumped him. You can understand with his attitude. He's got an Australian attitude. Martin.
Careful.
Yeah. So that now we're doing quite well, but I don't know if we'll go over there and do anything with the Australians. Anyway, the subdomains. Kevin, I've sought Kevin out. So Kevin is okay with your subdomain, Kevin?
Yeah, that's working great. Yeah.
Yeah. So if anybody else wants to do a site, I'm getting a lot of feedback from somewhere.
Yeah.
Everyone got headphones in?
Yeah, all headphones in.
Yeah.
So we are. Yeah, you okay? Kevin's now got a subdomain of FEPOW.family, which again, I said, if any members would like to add a research project to the FEPOW family, you can do it, and I can set up a subdomain. Kevin, can you? I'll put your title of your subdomain on there, but can you read it out again? The title of your subdomain.
Well, it was. So that feedback is.
Yeah, that is the feedback. Yeah. This is my other one, and this is my laptop. So that must be picking it up through the internet, because it's certainly not coming from us.
No.
So anyway, go on, Kevin. Can you read it out?
Yeah, okay. I've actually got it's the Northumberland Fusiliers.
Yeah, the full title. Can you remember it?
No, I can't run you. I'm good.
Right. It's the Royal Northumberland Fusiliers Memoirs. Is that right?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. And it's now available under members research in the FEPOW family website. So if you have a look at the FEPOW family website and have a look down the left-hand column, you will see members research. Now, anyone who'd like to do a page on research can add it within there, and the actual URL would read title you want at the beginning, and then .family.feeble.family. So it wouldn't be underneath feeble.family, that would be in front. So instead of the www, that would be your title, feeble.family. Okay, so anyone who wants to do a website, I can give you a hand if anyone hasn't done a website before. And I use NetFusion to write mine. I think Kevin uses WordPress.
No, I use Microsoft Express.
Oh, Microsoft Express.
The called Expressions.
Right.
Microsoft Expression. It's actually free on the internet.
Right, just a moment. I'm just going to try something. You'll all go dead for a little while. Right, we are picking it up within ourselves. It's actually coming, the feedback is coming from us somewhere. I'll just try, Walter's turned his off.
That's better.
Jenny, we're getting feedback from you somehow. Have you got anything else going on in the background? Or just let me put your mic back on.
Hi. Just through in the kitchen, there's stuff going on, but that's
okay? Yeah, it's gone now. Walter, have you got your mic off?
I had it off. I've turned it back on now.
Right, that's okay. Yeah, we're picking it up from somewhere, but never mind. We'll sort that. I'll sort that out. Yeah. So what were we saying? What were we saying, Keith?
It's gone now.
It's very, very faint in the background, whatever it is.
Yeah. What I did is I muted all the mics and turned them on again.
Right.
So that was most likely building it up. So we might have to do this during a meeting. So
okay.
To tell everyone, I'll turn the mics off and turn it back on. So yeah, subdomains. So if anyone wants to do a website, I use NetFusion to write my web pages, and I've used that since the 1990s. And so I started using that right at the beginning when they first of all started. That's got better since. But if you're thinking about buying it now, be very careful, because I'm on NetFusion 11. I bought 12, and I had so many problems with it, I went back to using 11. They're now on to 15, and I haven't tried anything after 12. So I honestly wouldn't like to say go and buy NetFusion. It's a brilliant program, but I've used it right from the beginning, so I'm quite used to it now. But it is difficult to get the hang of at the beginning. So I don't know if that's a good one to go for. WordPress is a decent one. I use it to write my blog. So my blog is written on WordPress. So there are programs out there which are a lot simpler to use if you want to do research at all. If you want to write a web page on research. And of course, I will add it as a subdomain. So I'll leave it to anyone who wants to try, and anyone who wants to have any help. You can get the earlier net fusions free of charge now. You can download them from their website free of charge, and they are quite good. I mean, you can do a lot with them. I like my version 11. It's easy for me to use, and I don't have the problems. I can use my databases and involve them within the pages I write with no trouble at all. So I would recommend NetFusion, but I wouldn't buy the latest ones. There's too many problems. Now, right, I've talked about I've got through my list. Anyone else wants to talk about something?
No,
can I just mention, Ronnie, about you could actually use your word processor if you've got like Word, whatever. You could actually format it into HTML as well.
Yeah,
just want to do page, something like that.
The agenda I used on the website was written with Word. I saved it as HTML and added it to NetFusion.
Yeah.
So that was written on Word, just because I was going to save it as a doc, and I thought, well, I'll try the HTML, and it worked quite well. So yeah, it's okay. It's basic. You can't do a lot more with it, but it's okay. It's okay to get a good page written. Like your page, I read that, and it's good. I enjoyed reading it.
Yeah, yes. Well, actually, I formatted that in Word.
Yeah.
Then, like you say, I loaded it into Microsoft Expressions. And Microsoft Expressions is actually free now. You can actually download it from their website for nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, there are quite a few freebies about now to write web pages. I mean, it all depends what you want to do with it. I mean, I've got so many databases which I've built up over the years, and for me to write, I mean, I've just been doing, if you've looked at my home page, I've just been putting that together, and it's written using my database. And say for Cambridge has got about 600 and odd FEPOWs. Now, for me to write an individual page for each one of those would be that'd be like we were back in the 90s when the Commonwealth War Graves used to send me a text list of the cemeteries, and I had to then put it onto the web pages, and one cemetery would take me about 6 months to do. But now I can do them within a day, which is absolutely stupid. So that there's so much happening now which you can make it easier to write web pages with. But I do like to do things like building databases and using a database. And so writing with Word would be, for me, out of the question.
Oh, no. But just a simple page, it's fine.
Yeah, simple page is brilliant. That would work a treat. And as I said, I can add them. All you'd have to do is let me know what the title you want, and then I can add it as a subdomain, give you the information how to get FTP it in, and all you do is FTP it into your folder on our website, on our host, and then it's live. So it's fairly straightforward. Right. Any other business? Go on then.
Not for me.
No.
Nope.
Come on, Jenny. You haven't said anything. Right.
I'm a basic beginner.
No. Which way are you researching, Jenny?
To be honest, I haven't done a lot recently because of work, so I'm just trying to get back into it. At the moment, I've got my grandfather's service record, and I'm just trying to transcribe it and understand all the battalions and stuff that he's gone through to get to Singapore when he was there, and then just trying to find out as much. I know Keith gave me a bit of information on his card before I went to Liverpool, but other than that, I'm just starting out, really.
What regiment was he in? It's got to be a Scots regiment.
No, he started
No?
off. No, he went down to the Lancashires, and then he finished up in the 9th Coastal before he was captured.
Yeah, my dad's regiment.
Right, we're now ringing bells, aren't we, Keith?
Ah, yeah.
Well, you know, Keith.
One of the guys in the local FEPOW group, his dad was on the 9th Coast as well.
Was he?
Well,
what was his name, Walter?
Oh, now you're asking.
Okay, no, let me know sometime. Be interested.
I'll be back to you in a moment. Hang on.
I mean, one of the things I want to try and do is transcribe the war diaries, because I've got all those here. But it's finding the time to do it.
It's always the Java Index, Keith.
It
you
is.
Start on something. I mean, I've been going on the Java Index now since that's about 15 years now, and I'll never finish it. I'll never finish it because every time I find something else comes along, and so that puts you on to something else. And I've got about 6 lots of files, Q files, not pages, files, and I've got to add them to the Java Index. I'll never do it because, to be honest, I mean the Java Index is it's good, but my dad wasn't there, so
I know.
To me, it's good to do it to help people, but then I aren't doing anything to where my dad was.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Yeah.
I haven't written up anything to do with my dad or anything like that at all.
No.
I've just been doing stuff for other people, so I've got to refocus.
I think that that's what I had to do.
Actually, I might be able to help. With us, I think there actually. Transcribing, obviously takes an enormous amount of time. I use Dragon Naturally Speaking, which is a voice-activated software where you train the software to your voice, and you can actually train it to the words as well. So there's lots of places and camps in Thailand which it doesn't understand, but you can actually train it to recognise in voice recognition. So it gets to a point where you can actually start freely speaking as I am now, and it actually types it along the screen. It's just quite incredible. And you can get a lot of information down really quickly.
But I can understand you, Martin, but they don't understand Norfolk.
But you train it. It actually trains to understand your voice, and it starts to recognise the way you're pronounced, and then it just replicates it in words. It's quite useful. I usually do when I'm doing notes. Especially if I'm reading files and I want to do notes, I'll just basically put my headphones on and start gibbering away, and it just types on the screen, and then I edit back afterwards just to tidy it up. But you can use as you're talking, you do a sentence, you go full stop or comma or open brackets, and it just types it as you go. It's really, really useful. But I found that I can get down. When you actually get handwritten documents from the smaller archives, like I go to Bedford a bit when I'm over in the UK and go through their records, and there's a lot of handwritten, and they're always cumbersome to sort of go through and try and decipher exactly what they say. But if you use Dragon, you can speak over the top of it, and if you get it wrong, you just delete that line and just say it again. So it really speeds up the process.
Worth remembering.
What's it called again, Martin?
It's called Dragon Naturally Speaking.
I tried it years ago, and it didn't work very well back then, but it must have come on a lot.
It's come a long way because I'm actually using version, I think 10 or 11, and I think it's come a long way since then. Yeah, version 12 I'm using, but it's actually come a long way even since then. But it takes a little while to set it up, especially around training it and certain words. But once it recognises your voice and your words, it's great. And you can use it in Excel as well. It's not only in Word; you can actually transcribe into Excel.
That's interesting.
That's useful.
Yeah, I'm just having my drink again. Ray is good at telling me I don't get words right.
Only Ubon.
Yeah, but you haven't heard any of my other Thailand names, have you? The trouble is, as I explained to you, you're doing research and you don't hear the name spoken.
Yeah.
And so you're so used to doing research and seeing it on the paper, and you don't actually pronounce it. So, and you don't hear it pronounced. Keith should be good at the words as well because he travels to Thailand quite a bit. But my pronunciation is how it looks like on the paper. So I'm very similar to what the prisoners used to write when they came back on the liberation forms.
The whole crunch, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's and we were talking, Ray, on my pages on. I mustn't call them the Death Railway. I've got to call them the Thailand-Burma Railway. I got really told off for calling it the Death Railway because there is one in Sumatra, and I mustn't call it the Death Railway. I've got to call it the Thailand-Burma Railway.
Yeah.
And the names on that site, Ray, are from the Rod Beatty and Neil. Wrote them out as a standard about year 2000, Keith.
Yeah, somewhere around that.
So when I wrote those pages on the railway, I used their definitions.
Yeah, that's when people ask me for camp names, I use those as well. So you're coming from one area.
Yeah, you are. Otherwise, you've got so many different pronunciations as written down. They sound, some of them, a bit.
Some of them are quite interesting because you go through some of these questionnaires and you look at it and think, where the hell was that?
Yeah.
Was it on the railway? And we're finding a lot of them off railway.
Yeah.
You know, it's either what happened or they were with a particular group and this group took the name of the Japanese commander. So you're looking for this place in Thailand. It doesn't exist because it's the name of the Japanese commander. So I normally run those past the TBRC.
Yeah.
Because they don't know, then nobody's going to know.
Yeah.
It's the way these things get found out, isn't it?
Yep.
So Ray, you are doing a job for me, aren't you?
Yeah. Through one of my contacts in Ubon, he's managed to find a map of the railway in the Thai script writing, and what he's going to do is translate that from Thai into English phonetic, and then when I go over to Thailand in November, my wife, who obviously is Thai, she will make little sound clips of each of the places that we can identify on the railway, and that then will sort of become a definitive version on the website.
Yeah. What is going to happen with this is Ray is going to get his wife to read out the names in Thai, and then I'm adding them to the pages on the Thailand-Burma Railway, so people can see the name and also listen to how it's pronounced, which will be brilliant, Ray. That will really be brilliant. And I do appreciate your wife doing that. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
And you're going to need that when you get Dragon naturally speaking. You need all the correct pronunciations.
Yeah.
I don't even think I'll try because we in Norfolk we talk proper.
Well,
honestly,
it's interesting that I pronounce Kanchanaburi, but some people say Kanchanaburi.
Yeah. It's just
Kanchanaburi.
Kanchanaburi. That's it. Yeah.
I think really. I mean, I don't think there's any way you can say that's a wrong pronunciation. I mean, as long as people can understand where you're talking about.
Yeah.
I think that's okay. I mean, you talk about Jenny in Scotland. They'd pronounce a campsite a lot different to we would in Norfolk. And it's all the same campsite, so it doesn't matter as long as we can understand where that campsite is.
I doubt if the local Thais would understand any of them.
No, they wouldn't. No, I think as long as we can understand where that comes from, the campsite, and we can understand the name, it's okay. You know, in the liberation forms, as you say, Keith, they can be a problem, because I look at them and I think, well, where the hell is that?
Yeah.
And then you start thinking, well, I'll go down my campsite list. So I go down my campsite list. Yes, it looks very similar to so-and-so. Yeah, that is difficult, but I mean that's that. But when you get it right and you look at it and you think, yeah, that's brilliant. It could take you about 2 hours to sort out one name.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
My wife laughs at me when I say River Kwai.
Yeah.
The reason is that Kwai in Thai is buffalo.
Oh, tell us about that one. The no ice.
Oh right, yeah. Well, excuse me, I'm getting over a cold and a cough. But my wife has picked up English extremely well, and you know, she sort of reads things, doesn't necessarily understand what they mean, but can read them. Now, the thing with Thai language is that they don't have any punctuation, sorry, and all the words, when you see a string of Thai script, it's just one long line of words, and somehow they can read it. So she does the same thing when she's reading English. And we were at the village post office, and there's a notice board outside the post office for the local community association. And one day she was stood there looking at it, and I said, "What are you looking at?" She said, "What's not ice?" And she was reading notice, but she pronounced it not ice.
That's brilliant.
And another time, there was a snow warning sign on the road, and she said, "What's so now?" So now. And a lot of Thai people do that with words beginning with S. Is they pronounce the S as a syllable and not like snow. You know, it merges into one syllable. Quite funny sometimes. And one time, it was our wedding anniversary, and I said, "Happy anniversary." I said, Happy university. What do you mean, happy university?
Yeah.
So it's not just the English.
Did you meet your wife when you were working out there then?
Yeah. I worked in the Far East for about 3 years, and that's where I met her. Yeah. Keith, can you remember Morris Rooney?
Yes.
Lovely old boy, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. When
he's going back.
Yeah. Well, when I first of all read the FEPOW website, I had trouble with Carol, and he used to get in touch with me on the phone, and to listen to his voice, he had that beautiful, he could pronounce things dead right, couldn't he? And he had such a soothing voice, and he used to get on the phone and try and soothe me down from the stuff I was getting from Carol. He's a brilliant chap, but no, I was talking to him one day, and he married a Japanese lady, didn't he? I don't know how he met her, but he married a Japanese lady. Because when I originally wrote his story on, I wrote his story on and put it on Far Eastern Heroes. He said any mention of Japanese and the hatred just flares up. But he actually married a Japanese lady.
He lost his brother out there as well, didn't he? So
yeah, Leslie. Yeah, Leslie. And that's where Brothers in Arms come from. Because he wanted me to name his site Brothers in Arms, because his brother died on the railway, and he didn't know he'd died because he went to Taiwan. He was in Kinkasaki mines, and he didn't know his brother died until after the war, because his brother died on the railway, on the Thailand-Burma railway. Yeah. Can you remember the chap who used to have a go at us, Keith, on the FEPOW community about the railway? Anyone mentioned the railway and he used to flare up. Because I forget his name now.
Yeah, I do. Vaguely, very vaguely remember him.
You can remember him, though, and he used to get really upset, didn't he? But he said, there's more than one railway, there's the Martin Railway.
That's right.
Of course there was, yeah.
Well, I think now there's a few others as well they've discovered. I mean, there was another one, I think, covered on the Liverpool conference, Keith, wasn't there?
Yeah, the one down the Isthmus of Kra that Rod Beatty reckons was built by Ramusha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's more stuff coming to light.
Gradually, yeah.
Yeah. Just quickly nipping back to the earlier conversation, Keith and Jenny. The guy whose dad was on the Ninth Coast is a guy called Malcolm Nash.
Oh, I know, yeah. Oh,
yeah, I thought you might know him.
Yep.
He's done quite a bit of work on that.
Done a heck of a lot of work on that.
His son as well, I believe.
Yes, because Justin was the one that was involved in the rewrite of, not the rewrite, the republication of the expanded John Coast book.
Oh, was he?
Oh, that's him, is it?
Also the update of Leo Rawlings' book.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I've got his letter here.
But Matt, as I say,
Justin Nash.
Malcolm and Justin, I think, have done quite a lot of work on the Ninth Coast. So
I've got his letter here.
They might well be a source of information for Jenny.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, by all means. There's this marvellous photo. It's one that my dad must have taken to the camps with him. Because it was certainly taken before the war, but it's a 15-inch gun. And you've got two men standing beside the gun and the crew sitting on the gun barrel. And I've
seen that photo, yeah.
They've identified a couple of guys on the gun barrel, and one of the guys standing is obviously my father. So it's, somebody said, wouldn't it be nice if we could identify the rest of them?
Maybe we should get Malcolm and Justin to do a talk.
That might be an idea, actually.
Yeah, that could be. And
I can have a word with Malcolm if you like.
Yeah.
Yeah, Justin, he seems a nice chap. He wrote quite a few emails to me, but I'm afraid I didn't keep them. I just had a look through my email, and I haven't got his email address, Jenny. He wrote to me quite a few times about these two books that were produced. That's the railway one.
Yep.
And that's the...
Yep.
Yeah, we were talking about this earlier, Keith. I don't know if you were listening at the time, but I said the original book, that one.
Yep.
The original book had the Bill Duncan forwarding in it.
Oh, yeah.
But it was put because he was, although he said that was a brilliant book because that was what he saw on the railway, he wasn't even on the railway.
On the railway,
so that book was a bit that fell flat, and that's a pity because that's a good book.
Very good book.
But then this book, can you see all the pictures? They're all pictures by Leo Rawlings.
Yeah.
So it is a good book if you're looking at pictures, if you want paintings of the railway. A lot of it is the railway, although there are other things in there. A lot of it is the railway. But there's some really good pictures in there.
The Thai Burma railway, of course.
Yeah,
oh yeah.
and his daughter, when I first of all, I did a site. Whoa, I think that was when I was at Corfeep. We're doing Corfeep's website. I did some pages called Paint and Horror. They are still on there.
Yeah, I was going to say it rings a bell.
Yeah, Paint and Horror, and I used well, I had to get in. I had to get in touch with Leo Rawlins' daughter because she held the rights to his pictures, and she gave me permission to put them on as long as I put her copyright on. They were her copyright, and which was good of her. That was very good of her. So Justin Nash must have got her permission for that book, because there's a lot more paintings in that book than in the original one.
It might have been Nigel Stanley that was working originally on the book. He might have got the permission from her.
Yeah. But that is honestly, if you like paintings of, that is a good book for that. The second one, the first one.
I think Nigel managed to get hold of a lot of the originals, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he spoke about that at one of the conferences a couple of years ago, didn't he?
Yep.
Yeah.
Anyway, don't forget Meg Parks is trying to organise a conference for 2019 on FEPOW art.
Yeah, that is in the FEPOW Facebook page.
Yeah,
the FEPOW family Facebook page. I did put all the details down there. But if anyone wants the details, either from Ray or myself, I've still got an original letter, and we can send the details on. But Meg does a hell of a lot. I mean, she organises quite a bit. She's that should be very, very good exhibition.
Yeah.
Well worth a visit. Yeah. Well worth a visit. Is there anything
Have you seen the Fred Ransom Smith drawings, the Fifth Suffolks?
Yes.
Yes.
Or some of them.
Yeah. Yeah. I've got both of his books, and he did some marvelous sketching. One particular one which upset Rod Beatty when he did a cartoon sketch of his museum when he first proposed it, and upset Rod, and he sort of displayed it as a coffee shop with busty women hanging out the side of it and so forth. And through John Pollock, I went to visit John when Fred had an exhibit at the Shrine of Remembrance over in Melbourne about 18 months ago, and John's very close to Fred, so he was going to arrange a meeting with him. So I mentioned this to Rod, and he said, "Oh, really? Right. Well, if you go and see him, ask him for an apology for that abominable thing he did at my museum."
Just what I expect from Rod.
Now, is there anybody else who'd like to put anything forward? Because we have got up to past 11 now.
I've just got one quick thing.
Go on in, Walter.
I'm thinking it might be worth putting Jenny in touch with Malcolm, but that makes me think: is there a way that we can communicate with one another rather than just through the main sort of FEPOW postings thing?
Well, the members page.
Is there a list somewhere that we can find each other's emails address?
The list is the list I send out to you. I use the list.
Oh, okay.
It's members at FEPOW.family.
Okay, but so if we want
that's just to the members.
Okay, but if we want to just communicate with one another, just one on one, is there a list of emails?
Just a moment. You can all talk between yourselves. Carry on.
While I remember, Ronnie, I won't be at the next meeting, I'm afraid, because I'm away that weekend.
Yeah. So.
On the topic of cartoons, I presume folk are familiar with Des Bettany's stuff.
Oh,
I guess the Aussies will be.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think Des is scheduled to have some heart surgery sometime soon. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I live in Australia, but I was born and bred in the UK, so I'm sort of a half Australian, if you like.
like Keith Bettany, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll just turn my mic off. Right. If you go into the people, family, secure part of the website through my accounts, I did send out to everyone asking them if they'd put down information on regiments and everything. And so if you have a look under relative reference, it gives the details of the people that did write into me. And so you've got the regiment they were in next to the name. These are all just members. They're the members of the charity part. And so you can look up, say, Walter, and all the information is there, okay? So you can look that up. So that is a way, Walter.
Okay. So there's email addresses there. Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you can get in, and if anyone is researching what you're interested in, you can get their email address from there. Now this is part of the secure part, so nobody else can get to this.
Yeah.
So don't feel as though it's live on the internet. It's just in the members section.
Yeah, that's interesting. D4's Chiang Mai and other camps heading up at Ackley. Did he? That's my last camp my father was in.
So we can use that so we know what the other members are thinking about, what they're doing. That'll give me an idea, because if I haven't added them, like John Moses, I hadn't added his, I think it was his father, John Moses. Anyway, I hadn't added him, so I now know I've got to add that to the roll of honour. So it helps me.
I'll let you have something as well, Ronnie.
Sorry?
I'll let you have something as well.
Yes, please. That does help members know what they're all thinking about. I'll stop sharing it.
Would it be an idea to sort of maybe mention if we're working on any project stuff at the time?
Yeah. That would help. That would help a lot, because then I had this out with FEPOW at one time, that we seemed to be overlapping on projects, which was stupid, because when two people are working on the same project, even though it is FEPOW and I was working on the same project my end, it seems to me a waste of time. If we knew who was working on what, we could go in a different direction. Can you see what I mean, Keith?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
It seemed to me, I mean, we all put a lot of time into research, and if we're all overlapping, I could be getting on with something else.
Yeah, like the Java Index.
Yeah, don't bring that up. I honestly am getting a kick out of this. I'm not the Java Index. To be honest, the Java Index, I find all you're doing is copying files into Java Index. You're not really doing any serious research. And because there's so many names involved. I mean, I've got over 30,000 in there now.
Yeah, doesn't surprise me.
And you're not looking at one person in particular and following that through. You're looking at the whole thing. So it's repetition. You're sitting there and doing it. And to be honest, that gets me depressed, because I'm sitting there and I'm looking for the next name, and you're looking for that dreaded line across the index card, knowing that he died, and you're thinking, Christ, another death. And that gets you down.
Oh, it does.
It does.
It does get you down.
That does get you down. You're thinking, oh, another one died, you know. and you're honestly wishing the next name is not a death.
Yeah.
Horrible, horrible. You get to a stage.
The one thing the Java Index does do, Ronnie, and I'll be honest, it enables you to follow somebody.
Yeah.
You know, so it's captured on Java. Let's say, like the group I'm Java Party 13. It enables you to follow that guy. And it's great for anybody starting out. We never had this when we started out.
Well, that helped me a little while ago because the ship that got sunk just off Japan, that they were transferred from the ship, a ship in Taiwan, and then
Temakoko Maru.
That's it. Yeah, that rang a bell because somebody asked me about someone who died on that ship. Well, they gave me a date, and I looked up, and they died on that ship, and they wanted to know how they got there. And of course, I've done the Java Index and everything, and the Java parties, and that rang a bell. The name rang a bell. And I went back to the Java Index and I found them at Java, found the Java party they went out on, what ship they left Singapore on, and went to the Philippines, and then they were transferred to Taiwan and then transferred to the ship. And so that all fell into place.
Yeah,
that was brilliant.
I think the ship from the Philippines to Taiwan, I think, ran aground in a typhoon, didn't it?
No, that was badly damaged in the typhoon, and so they got to Taiwan, and then the ship that was sunk was full of cargo, and that was just going with the convoy from Philippines to Japan. So what they did is they transferred the prisoners from the ship that was damaged in the typhoon over to that ship, which was sunk just off Nagasaki.
Yeah, sunk by the USS Tang.
Yeah. So
can I ask a question? How much of this stuff is still in your minds and not recorded in a book somewhere?
Most of it is, to be honest, most of it is on my websites because as soon as I find something out, I write it down.
I was hoping you would say that, Ronnie.
I mean, when you go through the websites, I mean, they're so...
What I'm thinking, though, is that, you know, for future generations, I mean, the problem with all this stuff, I mean, I've been finding this as I've only started researching my dad's story just in the last few years. So, and I expect Jenny's probably finding the same. You know, there's so much, you know, Google throws up so much, but finding the wheat from the chaff is, you know, finding the stuff that is relevant is really hard.
All you can do, Walter, is the same as what Keith does, and the same as what I do. Is you start off at a certain point, and you find.
I'm thinking not for me. I'm thinking for future generations.
Generations coming on.
Yeah, but the thing is, you can't put it all together. It's all in different files. And if you want things put together, to do one person would take ages. And the Java Index is 30,000. I mean, no way would I even contemplate doing that.
No. That's not really what I mean.
You know, things like we were just talking about. Is that going to be recorded somewhere? You know, like the Temakoko Maru sunk by the USS Tang. Yeah, okay, I've got the book by the commander of the Tang, but that's beside the point.
Yeah.
It's now out of print, so future generations may not get that.
Yeah.
But it's something, I mean, that was Death on the Hell Ships, which is a Bible to me. I mean, it's...
So I think Martin was trying to say something.
Sorry, Martin.
Yeah, actually, I've actually got to sign off because it's our son's 27th birthday tomorrow, so we've got a dinner for him. So I'm going to have to leave you all, I'm afraid. But it's lovely talking to you and meeting you all.
And you,
and you, Martin.
Yeah. And talk to you again in the next meeting if you're on.
Well, the next meeting is 2 weeks' time on Saturday, 14th. So hopefully
that's great because
we might see you there. And in the meantime, we'll wallop the Australians.
We'll see.
I don't think we will.
Goodbye, everybody.
We won't hold on.
I think I'm going to have to make a move now as well. I'll drop an email to Martin Nash, and Jenny, if
Malcolm
you'd like me to put you in touch with him, you can find my email address under Tuttleby on those pages that Ronnie pointed us to.
I will do, thank you.
Okay, cheers, guys.
Okay, bye,
Walter. See you, Walter. Right. Is there anything else anyone wants to talk about?
I'd just like to add, Ronnie, to that. It's that the list of names that people are researching seem to be under relatives. But the work that I'm doing, the project that I'm doing, is I'm uncovering lots of names of prisoners whose families aren't necessarily doing research, but when I've contacted them, they're amazed at what information that is there available to them. So I wonder if we could add, rather than relatives, could add people that I have come across that there is a bit of history behind them to tell them about the Ubon camp.
Yeah.
Should I add it under the Roll of Honour?
Give me a chance to think about that, Ray, because if I rebuild my database on relatives, I've got to redo the site.
Yeah.
Because if you alter the database, you can't then relay it onto the pages. You have to rebuild it all.
Yeah.
So if you add one field or rename it, it's
a big job. Thing. Yeah, I understand.
But I'll have a look and see if I can do it without too much aggravation, because at the moment I'm doing my hometown.
Yeah.
Something, Keith, which I thought, no, I'll do Norfolk. People keep asking me for stuff, and I thought, no, I'll do what I want to do for a change. So I built Norfolk, and so each place in Norfolk. Let me just find it, and I'll show you.
So through my work, just whilst you're doing that, Ronnie, through my work, I've been in touch with about 20 families who some of them didn't even know that their fathers or grandfathers had been at Ubon, including one family who there was one prisoner at Ubon who was shot by the Japanese for escaping.
Yeah.
And I managed to get in touch with his family, and they didn't know the full story behind it, but they were interested, shall we say. It was obviously a bit difficult for them to assimilate, but it was just a gap that was in their family history that they knew what had happened, but not the actual circumstances. And it's things like that, that. It's not
sometimes it can be a bit. I had one family get in touch with me and wanted some information on someone at Sandakan, and that is one of the.
That is a bad one.
There's a couple of research projects I did, because I did start research in 1960s. Keith, that was when my dad gave me his diary.
Oh, right.
Then that's when I started buying books on, because that's all you could get at the time, books on the FEPOWs. Nothing else was available.
That's right.
So I started reading books on it. So I started to put things together then. But when I started writing the page, when I started researching for the websites, Sandakan, the first one that really gave me nightmares, and that did really, was Lisbon Maroon. All my family were fishermen, and to be on a boat with the hatches battered down so they couldn't get out, and knowing the ship is going to sink, is horrible. That really is horrible. I can't think of anything worse. At least if the hatches are open, you can get out and try and swim for it.
Yeah.
But to know it's sinking and you can't get out, I had nightmares for ages after that, and that was just reading about it.
Yeah. Not actually being there or anything like that.
What did they think about it? It must have been horrific. But then there was Sandakan, and a book on Sandakan. Keith, you've got a better memory than me, yeah.
The Ramsey Silver's book.
Yeah, I got in touch with her.
Silence.
Yeah, I got in touch with her and said, could I use some of your lists? And she did let me, so that gave me a chance of getting involved in Sandakan and find out some of the details. And a family got in touch with me and wanted to know what happened to their relative in Sandakan.
I've done a couple of those, yeah.
And this one, he was actually the last one to die at Sandakan, and they crucified him. Mm-hmm. How can you tell a family that? I just couldn't tell them. I just said he died at Sandakan. You can't tell them that.
No.
You can't tell them what the Japanese did to him.
I must admit, when I come across something like that, and I've had a couple where one guy, Ninth Coast, interestingly enough, was killed by friendly fire. Friendly fire, no fire's friendly, but blue on blue, if you like, in Indochina.
Yeah.
And they contacted me and said, well, what can you tell me? I said, well, look, are you sure you want to know? Like his mother would like to know how he passed away. And I said, are you really sure about this? Do you know what you're asking? And they dropped the contact and then recently came back again. And I started the research over again for them and said, this is actually what happened. And he wasn't killed on the train. He died in hospital of his wounds, which is still bad, but it's not so bad as being, taken out by your own side on a train. And again, I could, because of the report that I'd found at Kew, I could actually fill them in on some of the details. Like the plane did the first bombing run. They missed the train, but exploded near the train enough to kill some men and injure others. And as the plane was coming back round, it was a B-25, it was Mitchell. The pilot was just about to let rip again, and he suddenly realised that the men jumping out of the train weren't wearing uniforms. So they couldn't be Japanese. So he just pulled up, didn't open fire again. And, you can put that in. So, it could have been one heck of a lot worse. But yeah, you do get some, and you say to people, are you really sure you want to know all the details? And Sandakan's a terrible one. I've done a couple of those.
Sandakan, that's one that really gets me. I just, but people do think that, they're so easy doing research, but it's not. But no. I just look at research. I love doing jigsaw puzzles, and I look at a research as jigsaw puzzle. You add a bit, and that opens another bit up, and you add a bit, that opens another bit up. And in the end, you start to see some kind of a picture. But it's adding bits, and adding those bits have a job. People think it's dead easy because it's on the internet.
Probably
that stuff on the internet took ages to put together because you add bits at a time.
And some of the bits are going to be missing.
Yeah, they're going to be missing. You're not going to get the whole
600 party being a case in point.
Right, this is my new project, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it because that's Cambridge, so and that's Norfolk, and every one of those red blobs is a village where Norfolk people joined up and were POWs. And so if I click on that takes me to the big page of Norfolk, and I can then go into, say, Wells, and they're all POWs from Wells. I can click on Great Yarmouth, and they're all POWs from Great Yarmouth. I put this on the FEPOW family because I put it on, and one woman, she wrote into me and said, why haven't you got my dad on there? I said, and then his dad didn't come from Norfolk, he came from somewhere else. Oh dear. This took me about 2 weeks to put together. People don't realise how long it takes. I'm chuffed with that because
it's good.
I can click on small places like Acle, because we live near Acle. I can click on Acle and see the 4 people from Acle who were POWs. But,
it's good.
I've done Cambridge. I've done Cambridge, and I'm now doing Suffolk. And Yarmouth, I've gone into a little deeper because I've got their Japanese index cards, and I'm adding the year they were born and things like that. But you see, I was born Galston, which is part of Great Yarmouth. So to me, it's something my dad would have loved, because one of the things my dad was, he felt guilty about getting home. He really did feel guilty about getting home, and many of his mates were killed, and he'd have to leave them behind in the Far East. And that was one thing he used to have bad nightmares about. And so my dad died 2001, and that's why I started off the Roll of Honour when he was alive, so he could see that his mates were being remembered. They must have gone through hell. I mean, you can't even put into words what they went through in those 3.5 years in the camps. Dad said he wouldn't think about home. He talked to his dad. He used to talk to his dad all the way through the camps, and his dad died in 1938. And he insists that his dad got him through the camps.
Yeah.
It must have been horrible. But never mind. At least we're trying to remember them.
Yep, definitely.
Now, are we okay? Should we put a stop to it there? Everyone okay with that?
Yeah, fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hope to see as many as possible in the next meeting. Jenny, did you enjoy it?
I did, thank you. It's been a lot to take in.
You got in okay though, because I was a bit worried because you said you were coming in, and we didn't get about 6 in that said they were in today. So I reckon they had problems, but you got there. So well done.
Thank you.
The rest of you have already been on, so the rest of you knew how to get in. But Jenny, your first time. Hope you enjoyed it.
I did, thank you.
If you need any help with the Ninth Coast, let me know.
Brilliant, thanks, Keith.
Yeah, Keith, you can get to via the members pages, and then he can write back to you with his email address. Yeah, thank you all ever so much for helping and joining the FEPOW family and helping me keep those sites on. That is honestly appreciated. I really do appreciate it. Because I got to a stage when I came out of hospital with pleurisy that I didn't think I was going to come out, and I said to the wife, I'm afraid we're going to have to shut all the sites down. And talking to the members, and then you all deciding you would back me, is made a big difference to me. That has given me a new spark, something I can work on. So thank you all. It is appreciated. I do get a bit.
You'll find my membership's on direct debit, Ronnie, so I'll just set it up ad infinitum.
Yeah, so yours is okay?
It should be on direct debit, yep.
Yeah, so you'll be all right. A lot of them paid PayPal, but as I said, Gillian will send out letters, so you might even get a letter because
no worries.
She does her things in a certain way, and
that's fair enough.
I let her get on with it. You don't. When somebody is doing a good job, you don't interfere.
No, leave it alone.
Especially the wife.
Yeah. I don't know how. We've got a special day on the 15th of October. That's our 50th.
Oh, wow.
So we've been married 50 years.
Wow.
2 weeks today.
3 life sentences. Don't tell the wife.
Can't take a joke. You shouldn't have joined.
No.
As they say about you in the army.
Yeah. But anyway, thanks a lot. We'll close the meeting there.
Okay.
Really appreciate it, and I hope you've all enjoyed it.
Yep.
We said we'd finish at 11, and it's now 1:30. Okay. Well done. See you all again on the 14th, if possible.
All right.
See you later.
Thanks, Ronnie.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
All right. Bye.